What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic here on the Odd Shopper channel, coming to you with another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks MLB edition. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you, because then you become a prize for whenever great betting content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. Different surroundings, different things going on here in Arizona for Easter. Good times were had by all. Just like pretty fun to hit another home run right out of the gate this morning. Oh my goodness. Rafael Devers, thanks for coming to the party. Boston covers. That was nice. But of course, everybody's still waiting for that Arizona game that hasn't started yet. So I'm out here in Arizona myself. So I'll keep my fingers crossed for everybody, myself included, because it's going to be a sweat. It's going to be a sweat against the Dodgers, no doubt about it. But we've got a massive slate to get to Friday. We ended up having a bunch of games that were rained out Thursday. Luckily, weather looks a lot better across the Northeast, so we're going to get a lot of baseball in tomorrow, a lot of opportunities. So we're going to talk through my leans, likes, and locks. If it's your first time checking out my video, here's how it works. Leans, things I'm thinking about betting. Likes, things that I definitely am going to be betting, but it's not like the full out like, oh, this is a lock, take it to the bank. Those are called locks. We like those. Those are the best plays that I have on the card for each and every day. I've got two of them here on our 14 games in the MLB street. So looking forward to that. Check out Bet365. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but lots of baseball to talk about. No more dilly-dallying here at the top. Let's get to the picks. Our first game of the day, we're heading to New York. I already did that bit before. The Mets hosting Miami here. They're doing a makeup game. That's nice of them. Cabrera. We've got Edward Cabrera on the hill for Miami. Tyler McGill. Me and Bobby McGill. New York Mets. That was a weird bit too. Cabrera, let's just talk baseball, is coming off a fantastic 2022. 25.8% K rate, 3.01 ERA. Limited sample size with just a shade over 1,200 pitches in the bigs. But that's a hell of a run there. Unfortunately, he had an 11.3% walk rate during that run, and it reared its ugly head in his debut with 6 walks in just 4 innings. But the Mets have committed some egregious sins against humanity because nothing has been going right for this team since the injury you had to your closer, Edwin Diaz, before the baseball season even starts, into offensive struggles, into this and that. Still, they're 3-4. Their heads above water, and the season's still early, and one of those wins did come from behind McGill. Now, I still don't know what to make of the 6'7", 27-year-old as a pitcher. He had a drastically higher ERA than expected ERA in his first 2 big league seasons, and the 26% career rate indicates he can certainly generate swing and misses with the slider-fastball combo. That takes up 70% of his pitch mix, and both of those generate about 28.5% whiff rate, so pretty good stuff. But laying 1.5 to 1 to back him at best right now doesn't feel like something I'm all that interested in, considering the 83 WRC plus the Mets currently boast as a team with a putrid 115 ISO. So, in other words, I'll sit and relax and wait for better spots on the card. If forced to do anything here, there's an under of 8 currently posted at -105 on DraftKings Sportsbook, but both of those pitchers have warts I can't overlook. Lean the under, passing on this game entirely as of right now. We'll take a look at props tomorrow. To a very interesting situation here with Nathan Eovaldi and the Rangers heading into Wrigley to take on Marcus Stroman and the Cubs. And let's talk betting in Wrigley, because this is such a wild spot. Normally, books don't post totals at Wrigley early because it carries perhaps the biggest wind factor of any park in baseball. When the wind blows out here, as in out to center field, right field, left field, towards the lake, that way, it's basically Coors Field combined with Great American Ballpark combined with crack. In other words, home runs left and right, and you'll see some double-digit totals. Of course, it's not the summer, and it's only expected to be a high of 46 degrees in Chicago tomorrow. Look at me using Google and stuff. But one thing that happens from time to time is you'll get massive discrepancies by books at open, because one might be factoring in that win potential, and one might not be. And that, my friends, is what I'm staring at right this second. On FanDuel Sportsbook, this line opened at 7.5, which would indicate a normal 46 degree day, which is what it's going to be on Friday, with 2 adequate pitchers on the mound. But Caesars Sportsbook, they have this line set in an over-under of 9. 9! That's a massive discrepancy that almost always has to be bet unless one side of the equation is heavily juiced to oppose the other. You got to find out also which side of the equation is correct. But again, that's not the case here, as FanDuel has an over of 7.5 at -120, and Caesars has the under of 9 at -115. Absolutely wild stuff. So which side of that do I think is right? I absolutely think FanDuel is. The wind isn't all that prominent looking at windfinder.com for Friday in Chicago, with the wind topping off around 8 miles per hour in the afternoon and into the evening. It's a lot of talking. What I'm getting at is that's not very much wind, shouldn't be factored in to the point where this line moves to 9 like it is at Caesars. Certainly not worthy of this number. And Marcus Stroman, we talked about on opening day, great numbers against lefties, strikeout numbers specifically going up against lefties. And I got to watch Nathan Eovaldi of Texas pitch in the spring, and that zip on his fastball is back. It is hitting the back of the glove. He's hitting upper 90s routinely. And while he wasn't great in his first outing, 5 innings, 3 earned, 6 Ks are a huge sign to me. He's getting back to form as that dip to a 22.4% K rate in last year's season was what did him in. So yeah, lots of talking about this for the second game of the day. But if you have access to Caesars, this is also my bet of the day. And for what it's worth, DraftKings doesn't have a line out yet. Probably sitting there mystified like I was looking at FanDuel and Caesars. So I think the FanDuel one's efficient, but Caesars under 9, lock button. Weird spot here as Clark Schmidt of the Pinstripes takes on Dean Kramer of the O's. And I believe this is our first look at Camden this season after it got rained down on Thursday. And for those that don't remember, the fences in left got pushed way back in 2022, turning this from a hitter's park to a pitcher's park pretty darn quickly. Still, if Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton hit a ball hard, it's still gone. So don't get me wrong here. But both these pitchers will welcome extra help after their respective bad opening outings. While Schmidt had a string of effectiveness last year and got his longest look coming up from AAA, most of it was in relief. He had just 3 starts on his resume. And despite Baltimore's starting staff inefficiencies, one thing they do have at the top of the order is bats. Good ones. Young and good ones. Young and good ones who will only become better ones. And Baltimore starter Dean Kramer isn't quality on the other side. His 3.23 ERA in 2022 was borderline lockboxing it up, as he had a 4.46 expected ERA, plus struck out 17% of batters and has virtually no quality offerings to left-handed bats, resulting in a 1.41 whip on the season with those overall bad things. So it's 62 degrees in Baltimore tomorrow, wretched weather on Thursday, and FanDuel has an 8.5 posted with other books at 9. Oh me, oh my, I like the over of that. Nothing crazy, but I think these pitchers are just bad and due for a long year, so why not start now? Over of 8.5, I like it. Lots of over-under talk through 3 games, but that will not be taking place here. Hunter Green, my boy, for Cincinnati, taking on Zach Wheeler of the Phillies. Why do I love him so much? Well, let's start with Green. This stuff is so good, but just like real estate, location, location, location. I mean, stop throwing meatballs, please. Elevate it. You throw it 101 miles per hour, mix in the slider, peels away perfectly off the pitch. I mean, he only has 2 pitches for a reason. He doesn't need a third. But when he's not locating, it's just pure pain and suffering. Only 3 1/3 innings in his debut this year. 3 earned, another home run given up after 24 of them last year. Fortunately, it's actually a massive ballpark shift for Green here, as his home run problem should be somewhat muted on the road as opposed to his home ballpark in Cincinnati. So yay for that at least? No. We'll get back to that in a second. Again, an absurd 8 strikeouts for him over the course of his 10 outs. That was pretty nifty, but I want to get back to this home run deal in a second. Speaking of ridiculous stuff on the other side of this one, for the Phillies, Zach Wheeler. He doesn't throw at 100 like Green, but Lord have mercy, he is good at baseball. He got tattooed opening day, though. 4 1/3, 7 hits, 4 earned to Texas, still 7 Ks. I mean, the track record, the swinging strikes were there. Matchup was a little bit more difficult than we probably thought. Texas, they went out and spent some money on some bats. They spent some money on some pitching, Jacob deGrom. But anyway, we'll see how Texas pans out over the course of this year. But if we're not jamming K props here, which I'm definitely thinking about, it's more than likely that I want to look at a bat to take a shot on. And last year, Green did give up 12 homers at home and 12 on the road. So even though the difficult home ballpark was there, he still had road problems. He actually gave up 13 homers to righties of those 24. So the ability to grab a righty bat with some power at a nice number is pretty intriguing to me here. And we've ran hot with these home run leans that usually turn into bets. they show up in the premium Discord. You can see the comment section below. Again, Rafael Devers, definitely on the card here. We'll see if Austin Riley, who I did end up betting in the evening window too, talked about on the show. We'll see if he goes yard. Let me know if he does in the comment section below. Just kidding. Somebody's going to already let me know. Oh, Eric, great call. Or great call, Eric, and it'll be really nice. You never know. But for this one, we've got green. I'm looking at JT Realmuto, who could be fantastic value here. He's one of the best hitting pitchers in baseball, and he is off to a rough start in 2023. But he gets an afternoon game bump, the green matchup, and last year, he actually carried a 488 slugging against righties compared to a 454 slugging to lefties. 17 of his 22 homers came against righties as well. So yeah, they're going to be long odds. I expect them to be long odds. If they're not, I'm not going to bet this. But JT Realmuto, or maybe Alec Boehm, could be way undervalued in this spot considering the slow start. But a 47.2% hard hit rate in 2022, just a 21.4% hard hit rate through 14 batted balls in 2023. I expect good regression for Realmuto here. I know that was a lot of work for a lean, but I thought it was worth it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Trying to break down some of these spots a little bit more in depth for you. But JT Realmuto to home run, that is my lean from this one. Attention, the great states of Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, and Virginia. Why just those four? Well, those are the only four that offer Bet365. It is an international sportsbook that has now come stateside. And let me just tell you, they have the best promotion that I've ever seen in the history of these sportsbooks. You simply deposit $10 or more at the link below. You bet $1 on anything that I recommended in the MLB or anything, period. I don't care. You can put $1 on, well, truly, I don't care. You're going to get $200 in bonus bets when you do it. That is a guaranteed win, a plus 20,000 payout. It is unbelievable, this offer. So I don't know what you're waiting for. I repeat, it's only available in 4 of the 50 states. I'll read them off one more time just in case. Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, and Virginia. If you're there, deposit $10 at the link below, bet $1, get $200 in bonus bets at Bet365. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, and it's only if you're 21 and over. Alrighty, y'all, back to the picks. We're heading to Cleveland, and pretty interesting that these teams just tuned up over in Seattle, and now we're going back to the other side of the state, or the country. Look at me. Can't differentiate anything today. Can you tell it's been a week? NBA and MLB. NBA's trying to kill me. That's really what this is. But Logan Gilbert on the mound here had a really nice outing going up against this very same Cleveland team. And now he's running it back. And some people really overreact when it comes down to seeing the same team twice. Different ballpark. You might have some kind of a different lineup iteration. You might have different circumstances. Things happen differently throughout a game. And also, as pitchers are building up throughout the season, you're going to have different velos that show up. So again, I'm not going to overreact to one outing, but it was a really good outing by Logan Gilbert. And on the other side of this one, Aaron Savale, a less touted pitcher by literally every single means, but he ended up being a little bit solid in his opener, found the W, a .43 whip there, went 7 innings strong. That's what he's supposed to do for this Cleveland team. He is supposed to eat innings. And I would say in 2022, he actually got a little bit unlucky. A 4.92 ERA, but a 3.80 expected ERA. So just saying, I think both of these pitchers profile well. Cleveland is going to be difficult to strike them out all year long, just like it has been for, I don't know, it feels like a decade straight. And Seattle, definitely one of the darlings to win a World Series here this year, but yet, I don't really feel great about their offense here going up against Savale. And then Cleveland, you play a close one, you run into that bullpen, they have arms. So I'm going to be getting away from this game more than likely. But if I did anything, I would be leaning the under of 7.5 here. 2 righties that are just efficient enough. Logan Gilbert's going to be a stud, I think, long term. But we'll see here. Doubt this ends up making the card at this efficient number. Hey, my Minnesota Twins in their home opener after getting rained out on Thursday or snowed out, whatever it is. I don't know what's going on. It's Midwest weather, let me tell you. We got Jose Urquidy there for Houston taking on Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray had a fantastic season. Sonny came home to her favorite room. Does anybody care? No? Okay. 3.08 ERA last year. 3.67 expected ERA. Got a little bit lucky in that regard. But for the most part, everything across the board looks solid. A sub 40% hard hit rate. Didn't look fantastic his first time out of the gate here, but still 0 runs given up. absolutely walking the tightrope, if you will, in that opening spot. 83 pitches, but just one barrel. So even though the 9.10 expected ERA bared that he should have got hit up, he didn't. So that's pretty cool. Jose Urquidy on the other side, he is definitely the weakest of these Houston arms coming out of the starting rotation. I mean, when you have Christian Javier, when you have, they're just so stacked. Hunter Brown, how you doing? Good to see you. Decent enough outing there for Jose Urquidy, though, right out of the gate. Also just one barrel given up in that initial offering. Got hit up a little bit more. He got unlucky, if you will, in that kind of a spot. Ended up giving up 2 home runs there in that spot. But we shall see. We shall see what ends up happening here with Urquidy. I think this is just another stay-away game. I've looked at it inside, outside. Houston, good enough bats. From the left side, Kyle Tucker, Yordan Alvarez, as good as Sonny Gray can be. I'm a little bit freaked out of them. I just love them. I'm always looking at their home run props over total bases, even though they'll probably be inflated to 1.5 here. And then on the other side, Jose Urquidy against Minnesota. As good as Joey Gallo's been, you're looking at colder weather in Minnesota. It's early in the season. This just looks like another efficient line. So I'm not looking at backing either one of these teams. Minnesota, a slight home favorite, exactly what they should be with the better pitcher on the mound. But over 7.5 would be where I lean, purely because of the offenses on both sides. They're solid. They're very solid. I don't believe in Urquidy. Sonny Gray, I have no idea what to expect after that first outing. So we're just going to steer clear of the atmosphere over Target Field. Let's get back to actual bets here. The White Sox going to Pittsburgh here. Lucas Giolito on the mound for the White Sox, going up against Rich Hill. Rich Hill, 100 years old, making a start. Congratulations to him. He might be the first guy to live in a retirement home who ever pitches in a Major League Baseball game. Fun fact. Thought I would throw that in there. But you got Lucas Giolito, and if you're going to unlock the keys to the White Sox going out and winning the division this year, it is finding something out of Michael Kopech or Lucas Giolito, because this guy had Cy Young worthy stuff in 2021. We're talking a 28% K rate, a 3.53 ERA, 3.27 expected ERA. The year before that, even better, with a north of 33% K rate. So he had that stuff once upon a time. Last year, it came crashing down to earth after 3 consecutive years with a sub 3.55 ERA. Put up a 4.9 ERA with a 3.90 xWOBA, a 4.23 expected ERA, which, bore that he got a little bit unlucky, but still, those are some hefty numbers. And his big problem is that when he gets hit, he gets tattooed. He had a max exit velocity of 117.4 miles per hour on the numbers of basically it's a way of just saying that when you get studs at the plate, you get hit really, really hard. But the problem with Pittsburgh? They don't really have those kind of bats. O'Neal Cruz, he can definitely provide a little bit of something for you, but for the most part, I'm not all that intrigued by anybody outside of Brian Reynolds for this Pittsburgh team in terms of bats. He's really the only guy who freaks me out in any way, shape, or form. And oh, by the way, O'Neal Cruz, day-to-day here, he ended up getting smacked in the face. I don't even know if he's going to be in this game, so be paying attention to that news. But I think I want to beat that news in general, just because I think this line's a little bit off as is. So I'm going to be a little aggressive here. The White Sox going up against Rich Hill, who is soft-tossing lefty. Beyond soft-tossing lefty, you're going to try to loop some curveballs. You're going to try to loop it in there. I think the White Sox get a hold of him here. -1.5, getting plus money. Nice plus money there. Plus 126. You might even get a little bit north of that, depending on your book. So Chicago, -1.5. Think Giolito can succeed if he can just get by Brian Reynolds. One batter to pay attention to. He'll be okay. Another like play coming down the pipeline here. We're heading to San Francisco. Our first look here too, to my knowledge. Again, don't quote me on that. Yeah, no, we 100% haven't seen them yet. We're going to San Francisco. What used to be Oracle, it's now something else, I think. I can't remember. Kansas City, though, they play at Kauffman Stadium. Look at me. I'm just going to try to fact check myself here as we go. But Kansas City, yay, they ended up beating up Barrios. Boo, they ended up losing to Kikuchi, even though Kikuchi couldn't get strikeouts. I don't understand that game still, but I'm going to have to break that one down here sooner rather than later. But Brad Keller, for the most part, is hideous. We do not like Brad Keller. We will never back Brad Keller in any kind of a positive light unless we are getting a lot better money than what I'm seeing on the side of the screen. I'm not going to go plus 142, and people want me to talk about bullpens more. Well, I'll break down bullpens when they're the ones who throw more than 5 or 6 innings in spots, and obviously it definitely needs to be factored in. Kansas City, a below average bullpen I'm projecting out here for the season. However, this is definitely a difficult pitcher's park to be going out into. So while as the last game, I was getting aggressive with the White Sox there at -1.5 with the outlier kind of issues you could have with a Rich Hill there. I think Alex Cobb is just steady enough, and Brad Keller in Kansas City going into a ballpark, that's just so much better. I think we just want to be backing the money line here on San Francisco behind Alex Wood. Really nice start to his season. Like what we saw out of him. He's a pitcher that, at times Alex Cobb, did I say Alex Wood? I meant Alex Cobb, of course. A really solid outing by him, even though he got really unlucky, only 3 2/3, 76 pitches, but just seems as though the velocity is there. Feel like it was pretty interesting with this knee. He ended up getting pulled out just precautionary, so I think he's okay, considering he's in line to start. So San Francisco money line, the better bullpen, I think they're going to be able to just cover for us here. Maybe this makes a nice pairing in that afternoon, if you're looking at afternoon baseball, with one of those overs or unders that I talked about. We had multiple of them. Maybe pair a lean with it, or go to Caesars, get the under of that 9 that's sitting in that Cubs game. How much Waldichuk could a Waldichuk chuck if a Waldichuk could chuck wood? Haven't been able to do that for a while, but Oakland, Ken Waldichuk, see what I did there? He is on the mound going up against Zach Eflin of Tampa Bay, and it's just fun to make that kind of a game because everything else about his game is not very good in any way, shape, or form. I don't even really know what I'm looking at here. He throws a lot of four-seamers, but he doesn't throw it fast. He mixes in 2 pitches that have, they're just abysmal pitches across the entire board. A 4.93 ERA over the course of last season, a 4.37 expected slugging. Got lit up the first outing. It's going to be a really, really bad year for Ken Waldichuk, especially when you take him out of his home ballpark in Oakland. That's a good ballpark. And yes, Tropicana, also pitcher's ballpark. But I have it actually is a better ballpark for hitting. So the Oakland Athletics get a slight bump as opposed to their home ballpark. What a time to be alive, and it won't matter because this Tampa Bay team is really, really good. Have you watched them play baseball? I said it at the beginning of the year. Just project Tampa Bay for 5 or 6 more wins than you think they should have. Oh yeah, they already have 6 wins. They're 6-0, the undefeated team remaining in baseball. That's good stuff, but Zach Eflin, you primarily remember him from the Phillies once upon a time. Doesn't really do anything impressive himself. But it's Tampa Bay, and they just know how to revamp pitchers. They know how to retool these guys. They know how to make them effective pitchers, and we saw that right from the get-go. First outing out, a 242 xWOBA. Did have just 1 walk, 25% K rate. We could be looking at a much improved pitcher compared to every previous season. I look at it with Dodgers pitchers. They just revamped Andrew Heaney, made him a strikeout stud. I think Tampa Bay in the American League does the same type of crap, and so if I had to do anything, I'd be going Tampa Bay -1.5, but this number is just massive. Tampa Bay -210, and then -104 on the run line. That's asking a lot here in Tropicana. As good as Tampa Bay has looked, they did play Washington for a series, and I think a lot of teams are going to go 3-0 over a series with Washington. So we're just leaning here. I think there's enough better spots on the card that we don't have to force this one, but if I tried to force any of my leans, I think this would be my primary pick. To the one line we do not have here on the board, but I did just get a starting pitcher about 30 minutes ago, so hey, at least there's that. Starting on the San Diego side, we know it's going to be Nick Martinez there. Jared Schuster getting to run it back here for Atlanta. And why am I saying Jared Schuster? Darren Sharper, the most hardest hitting safety in the league. Because he's terrible. He's really awful. Did you watch him pitch in that opening day? Did I think about backing? But they lost to Washington because he's just abysmal. 4 2/3, 4 earned, 1 K, no swings and misses. This is just going to be a brutal, brutal spot. But Nick Martinez on the other side, it's not that I'm in love with him. Talked about it. Think he's just a really strange choice for San Diego to be investing into this rotation. He lost his career, went overseas, came back. Last year was serviceable, but not really. I find him to be a very I'm not enamored with him. I'm the opposite of enamored with him. 7 innings pitched there, 5 Ks, 4 earned in that debut. He's out there to eat innings. Maybe he can be serviceable, but not against Atlanta. Still, I need to see a line here. And the reason that I would be going towards San Diego is because Jared Schuster is just that bad. I watched that entire game, and I'm still scarred. I have to bet against Jared Schuster, right? Please give me plus money on San Diego. Please, 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 please. As bad as Nick Martinez is, please give me plus money on San Diego. Just a lean for now, but get ready. Get ready, fam, because Jared Schuster, put him in a toaster. We're going to roast her. It's going to be good. We have just 4 more games to go. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you haven't. As we go to a great matchup here, St. Louis going up against Milwaukee. Jack Flaherty on the mound for St. Louis. Brandon Woodruff on the Milwaukee side. And Milwaukee off to a 5-1 start. Pretty interesting. Everybody in the comment section saying Milwaukee's going to be terrible. Well, they're going to need Corbin Burnes to start pitching better. That's for darn sure. But outside of that, everything's been coming up roses here for Milwaukee. And Brandon Woodruff, what an inspiring start there he had in Wrigley. 6 innings, 7 ground balls, 8 Ks, just the 1 earned run on a yard bomb. I mean, it was a bomb, but either way, just the 1 solo shot that he gave up. So, good stuff from Brandon Woodruff. But Jack Flaherty as well, kind of made fun of the contract because I just don't find him to be all that appealing of a pitcher. And he succeeded, 5 innings, no earned. But let me just point out one thing. 7 walks. He had 7 walks and didn't give up a run. Do you know how improbable it is to give up 7 walks to Toronto and find no way to be successful? What a ridiculously luck box kind of a thing that was. My goodness. I think Jack Flaherty is in due for a rude awakening here, getting out of his home ballpark a little bit better for pitching, heading to Milwaukee with that dome closed over the former, I'm going to call it Miller Park. It's American Family, I think, now. It's silly. This is now a ballpark themed show, so there you go. But Milwaukee minus 1.5 really stands out for me. I love a lot of these lefties up and down this lineup, and Milwaukee can absolutely stack them up. Yelich at the top of the order. Jesse Winker going to be batting second more than likely. They have this, have you seen Garrett Mitchell play baseball lately? I don't know. Hitting 300 with 3 bombs already this season. That's good stuff. Don't think they expected that right from the get-go. So lots of lefty power up and down, and Rowdy Tellez at the first base spot. Going to be a tough outing, I think, for Jack Flaherty. Enough so that I like the minus 1.5. I think there's extreme value there when you can back a pitcher like Brandon Woodruff, get plus 140, and then the number of lefties that they can pin up against St. Louis. Sure, you have a tough matchup there for the Cardinals, but you neutralize Goldschmidt and Arenado's superpower by having a righty pitcher on the mound in general. So there you go. Here comes the general, minus 1.5. Oh, we're going back to Coors Field yet again. Mackenzie Gore on the mound here for Washington, going up against who I believe is one of the worst starting pitchers in all of baseball, and Jose Urena, but we'll talk about that in a second. I want to talk about first, I bet the 10.5. It gets moved to 11. I felt really good about it yesterday, and there you go. 1-0, because of course, hey, even in Coors Field, crazy stuff happens. Like, Josiah Gray just shuts it down, and then Kyle Freeland has a phenomenal outing, and of course, that's how it works out, but suppose Washington bad enough offense where sometimes that's just going to happen and you're going to look stupid. So I looked stupid about this game, but I'm going to be looking at Mackenzie Gore here, and I think he had some improved stuff right from the get-go. He was one of the acquisitions. Him and CJ Abrams were the main guys that Washington targeted in order to trade. They were going to get rid of Juan Soto at any point, but they were the 2 main acquisitions that you got for the Juan Soto trade, and he looked pretty good to me. He's just 24 years of age. Last year, it was really rough, 12% walk rate. The walks are going to be a problem here again, it looks like, but for the most part, I like the strikeout stuff, and I like the increased velocity on the 4-seamer, which he's throwing more than 60% of the time already. Kept the ball on the ground, which was really nice to see. If that fastball is going to be hitting upper 90s, and he's going to have a little bit of movement on it, I think in Coors Field, those are the kind of pitchers can be more successful. You get some of that breaking stuff, and again, Josiah Gray just pulled it off, so I don't know. What it is. He is a lefty, so we got to at least profile that against the likes of a Chris Bryant, CJ Cron for sure. That's a freaky little matchup there for Mackenzie Gore, but I think he'll be okay here. Still, it's Mackenzie Gore. He's not quite to the esteemed level that he was expected to be as a former top 3 pick in the 2017 draft. But we move to the other side of this one where I really do not like Jose Urena at all. So much so that I can't even say his name correctly. Jose Urena is abysmal. He's never eclipsed an 18.5% K rate in one big league season ever, and he's been there since 2015. The man had a 10% walk rate last year and somehow, some way, had a sub-5 expected ERA. But every year previous to it, we're talking 3 years previous to it there, over a 5.23 expected ERA in those. So he's very, very bad at the pitching of baseballs. And therefore, even against a bad lineup like Washington, he just throws a fastball that doesn't do anything. Just comes in flat. So Joey Meneses, can you punish him? That might be the one guy I'm looking at to maybe sprinkle a little home run prop if I felt like it. But I think the over of 11 is currently, without having the props on the board, my favorite play from this one. I don't really know what to do with it yet because 11, you're looking at 12. 11's a push a lot of the time here. Looks pretty efficient to me. Probably going to be staying away from it in this spot because Mackenzie Gore maybe found improvements. He's just 24. Wouldn't shock me there. So probably just going to stay away from that one, but might be looking at a home run prop or two. And we've made it to lock territory again here. We've got Chris Bassitt and the Toronto Blue Jays on the mound against Patrick Sandoval and the Los Angeles Angels. And poor Chris Bassitt, he got his ass handed to him. Can't spell ass without Bassitt. It's just what it is. Because whatever, you know what I'm getting at. The man he used to have it. He used to have all of the pieces. It started tailing off in 2022, and you could see the signs. I saw the sign. And I bet against Chris Bassitt, I saw the sign. I'm telling you, it's just ridiculous what we saw in terms of drop-off of velocity. Still found a way to have a 290x WOBA, so there's that. That's not too abysmal from last year. A 3.46 expected ERA. But what I'm talking about is that he has about 8 different pitches, and he has to mix them up. If you have 8 pitches, you have no pitches. You sports people know what I'm talking about. You former athletes, you. But sinker, that's the primary pitch, didn't really tail off. The changeup got completely lit up. Didn't look good in spring ball, and boy, did he not look good out of the gate here in any way, shape, or form going up against St. Louis. 10 hits, 9 earned, 4 homers. You know who has some home run pop at the top of this lineup? You heard me. Ohtani, Mike Trout. Heard of them. They're pretty good. Taylor Ward, and I expect Hunter Renfroe to start hitting baseballs here eventually. I mean, Taylor Ward's been the best hitter in this lineup through the first week of baseball. Just throwing it out there. But Hunter Renfroe, traditionally, he's better against lefties, but still, I think he's going to have enough pop. And Angels Stadium, a very underrated park for home runs. Just want to throw it out there. Which leads me to the other side of this one. Patrick Sandoval, not going to be giving up a lot of them this year because I love what we saw from him in the World Baseball Classic, and I love what we saw from him in that first outing because the K stuff wasn't even there, just 2 strikeouts against Oakland, but he got 9 ground balls, 86 pitches. He's going to be serviceable. Also, was pitching a little bit more to contact because they were up by 1,000,000 runs. They ended up beating Oakland 13-1, got up way early in that game. You don't need to necessarily, you just need to get the ball over the plate then in some of those scenarios, especially against a lineup as putrid as Oakland. So I am going to be backing Patrick Sandoval every single day of the week where I'm getting standard juice against a pitcher that I think is going to start tailing off. And is Chris Bassitt as bad as he just threw out last time? No, he is not. But he might have a home run problem. We started to see some velo tick off. I'm very, very concerned for him. And therefore, I got to be locking in the Angels at this kind of a number. It's too good. I love Patrick Sandoval too much. Give me all of that you got in a bag of potato chips. Los Angeles, money line, lock it. And to the last game of the night, we're going to go to an old-fashioned duel. If this were 2013, oh my gosh. This would be appointment viewing. It's still kind of appointment viewing because Clayton Kershaw continues to be unbelievable. 6 innings, 9 Ks, 7 ground balls right from the get-go in just 76 pitches against Arizona. Well, he's running it back. That same matchup in this spot, heading to Chase Field this time. Again, we got to throw in the ballpark names just for fun. Madison Bumgarner on the other side. That's what would have made it appointment viewing once upon a time. But you know what happened to Madison Bumgarner? He got not good. And I no good English. That was very bad. But Madison Bumgarner just got tattooed, as you're going to expect a lot this year. 5 earned, 85 pitches, just 2 strikeouts, really no swinging strikes. Said that he felt forearm fatigue, but he's going to be starting in this game. I thought about locking this, but the price is already there. Minus 205 on the road here for Kershaw. Not a ton of value to extract out of that. So I think this is a nice piece. If you want to combine this with the Los Angeles money line and have a little LA dip in the old pool. Sounds great. Even though I'm going to be cheering for Arizona tonight, plus 1.5. Yep. Still standing behind that one, even though I like Dustin May's stuff. That's a little bit undervalued. You're not getting any value back in Kershaw, but I think you're getting enough value to back these bats along with Kershaw. So there you go. Minus 205. I'm all right with it. Los Angeles Dodgers. I like it. Put it together. And what do you got? Bibbidi bobbidi boo. Put them with the Angels. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Head to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays for the slate on Friday. Let me know how my plays did on Thursday. If you enjoyed the Devers and the home runs that happened, let me know what the Arizona game ended up being before I even go to it and before whatever. You know what I'm getting at. Sign up for Bet365 while you're at it too. Again, if you're in the states of Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, or Virginia, you bet $1 on anything in the link below, you're going to get $200 in bet credits. That's a great, great deal. It's only if you're 21 and over. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Alrighty, y'all. The first full week of MLB is in the books. This was fantastic. Had a blast. Love talking baseball with all of you. Again, hit that like button on the way out. You're going to have Eitan Shander, my buddy, here with you for the weekend. Until Monday, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the MLB streets on Friday.